Everyone, it's 6:32. I've started recording the meeting. We are going to start recording the meeting, then we're going to go into executive session, and then we're going to come out, and then I'm going to start streaming the meeting live, and then also let everyone into the meeting. But it's hard for me to let everyone in and then kick them out. And the first thing we're doing is an executive session. But all of this is being recorded, and all this will go on the web, so no one's really missing anything. So with that, I would like to make a motion to open the July 16th, 2020 New Paltz Town Board meeting. And Police Commission and Town Board meeting.
David, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So as everyone knows, this meeting is being recorded. It will be streamed live. We also will be posting a copy of this tomorrow on the web. Please note any comments. We're having comment open tonight, but we're also accepting comments that get sent to the clerk. And so with that, I would like to make a motion to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I guess just stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag.
United States.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
But I'd like to move the executive session item up to number 1 on the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Christy, I'm going to put you out in the waiting room. Is that okay? And we're going to go into executive session.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, I am going to pause the recording right now. Okay, I've started the recording again, and I would like to make a motion to come out of executive session, and no action will be taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Christy, I should have let you in a second ago. We just came out of executive session. The recording has been going on for a bit now, and we're not taking any action. I am going to let everyone else into the meeting now and turn on the recording, turn on the live streaming. Okay, everyone, we are welcome everyone. We had an executive session, so we didn't let anyone in until we were done with that. No action is being taken from executive session. Any parts of the meeting you missed, the pledge, you can all see those on the tape that will be posted tomorrow. So with that, I would like to this again. Okay. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to you. This brings us to the public input. We're going to let people talk. We have three public hearings tonight, so we do not have a long time. We're going to limit public input to 10 minutes. And it'll be first come, first serve. Raise your hand. Try to keep your comments short. If you've already spoken, please consider letting someone who has never had a chance to speak, let them have a turn. If you do not have a chance to speak tonight, you're free to send your comments into the clerk. And so with that, if someone would like to say something, if you raise your hand, I will unmute you and start the timer.
And people should use the Zoom's hand raising function.
Okay, if
Thank you.
don't see if no one has any comments.
Neil, I see someone raising their physical hand because I can see the video.
You got to raise it on. I can't see everyone's video. Right, you have to raise your hand. I'm sorry.
Using the using the function on Zoom. Do you know where?
I don't have
You,
it.
you use the function on chat, through the chat, right?
Okay, I found it.
How do you do this, Megan? How do you tell us?
Or through participants, pardon me, through participants function, you can press raise your hand.
Hey, Tanya?
Yes, good evening. I guess what I would like to start with is in reference to the previous town board meetings on this issue that were held online. The last meeting, there was a significant criticism of how the board wrote its mission statement, as well as how they selected and who they selected for stakeholder representatives. The mission statement, you know, to repeat, completely missed the point of the mandate, which was specifically to deal with racism in policing. It was not about, you know, including the entire community, which in this case is a predominantly white community, you know, and have their concerns represented. They do not speak to the issue of racism. And the mission statement clearly set the process up to fail the mandate. The stakeholders, you know, were chosen based on that mission statement and the reality. This is what I gathered from listening to the board people. And so, you know, and they were chosen wrongly. There were many, many groups of people of color in New Paltz. I certainly have a list of over 10 of them. And all the board could seem to muster was one seat to be shared with two different groups that have nothing to do with each other, which is a completely wrong thinking. So my question to you is, what are you doing in response to all the criticism that you got? Because you got criticism from almost every person at that meeting. And you received criticism, you know, in writing as well. So I would like to know what the board is doing, you know, to change the mission statement and bring it in line with the mandate, and what your thinking is about redoing that whole stakeholder list.
I know we don't usually do back and forth in public comment, but because this is an important issue and I assume a lot of people are also here to speak to it, I'm happy super quickly to address this. And if this is something people want to talk about later or offline, I'm also happy to do that as well. But I just want to be clear here, and maybe it was a mistake in having the mission statement at all. The mission statement is the governor's executive order. That's what founds this commission, so that's what the mission statement is. Relative to the stakeholder groups, I definitely hear the feedback we got, and I think there was some really good points made, and we're prepared to make certain adjustments to that, and we're in the process of doing that. And lastly, I want to be really clear here and say that I don't think we would be doing our job if like a large percentage of this committee were not people of color. So I think we all acknowledge that. How we get that to that point is important, but that is certainly a goal of ours. And that's something I know a lot of people talked about, but that's always been our goal in this commission as well. But this is we're making adjustments based on what we hear from the community and what we think makes sense as well.
Okay, Ariel?
You're on mute.
To unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent. Hi, everybody. I am just wanted to weigh in. I hope it's okay about the Community Preservation Fund.
That's in half an hour.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I will bow out and continue to listen.
Thank you. And Maggie?
Yeah, Maggie is Edgar Rodriguez, New Paltz resident. I'd like to follow up on Dan's comments in a very specific way. Yesterday, the Hudson Valley newspaper published a letter regarding the matter of stakeholder groups that should be part of this commission, committee, whatever it's going to be called. I'm not going to read you the whole letter, but I will read to you, particularly given what Dan has said a moment ago about how to address the question of stakeholder groups. So the letter to the editor contains at least 10 groups that should be considered and have been overlooked by the town board. And to begin with, number one is Black Lives Matter of New Paltz, There's a second group called Black Lives Matter SUNY New Paltz, Sisters of Sojourner Truth, Black Student Union at SUNY New Paltz, the Latino Student Union at SUNY New Paltz, also at SUNY, the Faculty of Color Network, a group called the New Paltz Spanish-Speaking Immigrant Groups in New Paltz, which works with residents that are recent immigrants to New Paltz that work in all the restaurants that we have in New Paltz, a great secret that we have. Also, the Racial Equity Initiative Advisory Committee of the New Paltz Board of Education, called REAC. Also, there's a group called Equity Allies, a group of mostly white individuals that are trained and experienced and knowledgeable on questions of racism, and their voice should be at the table also. And then at the high school, there's a group called Youth for Unity that has been around for 15, 20 years with mostly students of color in New Paltz. So I highly recommend. I'm not sure what the procedure is. We actually need clarification as to how the stakeholder groups are going to be selected. If there's going to be some kind of discussion. Some of us will be calling for a meeting of some of these groups to select their own representation. So I hope to hear more clearly from the board as to what they think the procedure should be. Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, I know we don't normally do this, but I do think this is an important topic. So I just want to be brief here and say that probably about half of the stakeholders you mentioned would fall under some of the existing groups, but I really appreciate you identifying other ones that we should look at as well. I appreciate you sent that as a letter to editor. If you'd like to send that to the town board as well so we could review it, I think that would be great. And the goal also is for self-selection amongst the groups. So I think it's great that you guys want to advocate for that, but that's certainly something that we're presently looking at as well.
The letter is in the newspaper, in the feedback, I think page 23 or so. And also I sent a copy of the letter to the town clerk.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks. Well, that's 10 minutes, everyone. And we are going to move on to the next portion of the meeting. I'd like to hand it over to the chief for the monthly report.
Thank you, Supervisor. Just a couple of announcements. The first is that, just a reminder, there's a community Narcan, virtual Narcan training on July 24th. It'll be in the afternoon, 1 to 2. You can go to the New Paltz Opioid Prevention NP to register for that. Participants will receive Narcan kit and if they choose also a drug destruction pouch that they can pick up or we'll help distribute. August 20th, I'm just putting it out there now and I'll put it on our website, but August 20th will be the next, I guess, conversations with the cops. We're going to do that one at 5 o'clock in Hasbrook Park. We had our second one this morning at the Peace Park. I had about 8 or 9 people that were there. Good dialogue, about an hour and a half we were there. And then, as I said, after today, moving forward, it's going to be the third Thursday of every month. And we'll try to alternate locations and times so that we can try and catch as many people as we can. We don't want to just limit it to one set time. The other thing is, we're trying to update our website as well with a calendar now and events. So, we encourage people to view that. If there's something they think we don't have on there that should be on there, they can contact us and we'll try to get that information up on the website and available to them. In terms of the monthly report, we had 8 letters of commendation. The first was regarding for officers Kraus, Milton, and Sergeant Fuco. It was for a medical that they had responded to, and assistance they had given out on the scene. This was actually sent to us, via New Paltz Rescue, just thanking us for our role and the efforts that we played in bringing medical attention to the individual. The next letter of commendation was for Officer Tyler Peace. It was just a citizen wanted to thank him for helping them out when their car had broken down. Just appreciated the efforts that he made in regards to helping them. We received a couple of thank yous regarding some of the birthday drive-bys that we did. So the one was sent to Lieutenant Butler and Officer Jerome Milton, who came in and did with the fire department and the rescue squad, participated in one of the birthday drive-bys for a child here in New Paltz, and the mom wanted to thank them. We received another letter of commendation for assistance with the medical. This one was for Sergeant Lewis and Officer Bunce. They had responded to a medical call. Subject who was actually refusing treatment, and they were able to actually speak with the individual and convince them that to go with the rescue squad to the hospital to seek medical attention. So the family was very thankful for their efforts and the way they conduct themselves in getting their father to the hospital. We received next one was for Sergeant Lewis regarding his actions during one of the recent demonstrations that we had here in town. This was for the demonstration that occurred on June 21st. At some point, the protesters and counter-protesters, there was some back and forth between the two groups. Sergeant Lewis was on the scene. He was able to speak with two groups, kind of mediated, excuse me. And this was actually just a thank you from a third party who just appreciated his efforts and thought that he did a really excellent job mediating the situation. And then that sent both parties on their way with no issues at all. We received a thank you from the school district regarding our assistance with the high school graduation celebration this year. They had to change. In light of COVID, they made a lot of changes, and they were just thankful. It was some ongoing dialogue between the police department and those responsible in trying to help coordinate the best possible graduation that we could for the kids, and it turned out really, really well. So we were just thankful that it turned out the way it did, and play a small role in that. And then we received a letter of thank you for Officers Milton and Sergeant Koch from an individual who had gotten lost on the wildlife sanctuary trails. So Officer Milton had gone out there, was able to help locate them, and so they just wanted to thank them for that. And then finally, another one for Officer Milton, where he assisted an individual who actually had fell on the sanctuary trail. So he responded out there, assisted with medical treatment, was able to get them out onto the road where they were able to get additional treatment. So with the rescue squad, but they wanted to thank us for that. That's all I have in terms of commendations. In terms of some other items I did want to touch base on in the monthly report. I just want to make sure I call everybody's attention just to the training report from Lieutenant Butler. A couple of things to note on that, and I know it was noted on my initial, is in terms of policy stuff. Our officer involved shooting policy had been revised to reflect the new changes in to reflect the new changes with the state legislation in terms of the special prosecutor to the AG's office. So we wanted to include language in that, the independent special prosecutor for that. And then we've also implemented two new policies, one that deals with recording of police activity, and the other crowd management and control. So two new policies that we implemented. I note that the body camera policy was something we touched about at the last meeting, so don't really need to talk. You were aware of that. And on the training report, it reflect that these gone out to members, being reviewed with them at shift briefing. In addition to that, June was we completed our mental health crisis intervention de-escalation training. Officer Kraus conducts this with the assistance of Chris Dennehy from Step One. It's they co-teach this this block of training together. I think this is the third or fourth iteration of this, and it speaks to the fundamentals of crisis intervention skills, and it was an 8-hour block of training. In addition to that, the officers through the New York Municipal Insurance Carrier, which is our carrier, there's a lot of online training that's available, and we implement that with our personnel. And so this training block was for mental health awareness for law enforcement. This was about a 1-hour training. It's not all online, but it complemented what we did inside the classroom. So that was good. And then just the only other thing I wanted to call in regards to the training was that we had modified our defensive tactics training curriculum. New York State, with the recent change in legislation, New York State had actually needed to reform their training curriculum to be aligned with their legislation in terms of restraints, neck restraints, things of that nature. So that was a training, an amendment to their training curriculum, something that we had already started to put into place, but just that it's now an official changeover. So wanted to make everyone aware of that as well. And I think that's it for the training issues. I don't know if anybody else has any other questions regarding other items that may be in. I know you're pressed for time, but if there's anything else in the monthly report that you have questions about.
Chief, can you, this is David, can you comment please on, like, give us an example of what the policy changes on crowd control that has been implemented or being implemented?
So this is actually a new policy that we implemented. I had gone to some training last year regarding First Amendment. It was First Amendment training put on by the Dago Law Group, which is so this was in regards to some of what we learned at that training, and really also to codify what we've been doing here. The idea that, whenever possible, our job is to create a safe environment for people that want to demonstrate, not to oversee the demonstrators, but just to make sure that they're safe. So, we really try to use third-party intermediaries like we did with the May 30th George Floyd demonstration. And this just kind of codifies that, and we'll be, and so right now it's an instructional period, and then we're going to be reviewing this at in our fall defensive actions firearms training as well, just to make sure that people are comfortable with everything and understand the terminology and moving forward with this policy. And then the recording police activity, just again, more to codify what our approach has been in that, we can, you can be recorded by the public, and this is, the public has every right to record our actions, and they should be, and just ways that we can work with the public to make sure that their right to do that is satisfied, but also doesn't necessarily impede our ability to conduct an investigation. So this is, codifying that in terms of a policy and procedure.
Thank you.
And is that all for the report?
That's it, unless there's any other questions for any of the other items in the report that I didn't touch upon.
If none of the other town board members have a question right now, I do have something else I want to ask the chief. Is it appropriate now, Neil?
Yeah, that's fine. This is it. We're done after this. We can adjourn the meeting and move on to the public hearings.
Okay. I know the chief is really wanting, what happens in policing in New Paltz to become much more transparent. We've had some personal conversations about this, and really wants people to understand what our police are doing and what they're not doing, and more about their budget. It's kind of like a policing 101 class in some way that can be interactive. And Rob, I wonder if your next third Thursday is the third Thursday of August now going to be the next meeting, or is there, when is the next meeting?
So the next conversation with the police will be that third Thursday. That'll be out at Hasbrook Park.
And that's in August?
Yes, August 20th.
August 20th. So I guess I want to suggest that we use that meeting, if that seems wise for Rob to really go through a 60 or 90-minute kind of like presentation of the different aspects of policing in New Paltz, with it being a more interactive conversation, so that the community can ask questions, town board who's there can ask some questions, and we can do a little bit of policing 101 to make sure more of our community understands what our police are and are not doing, and some of the challenges that we're facing in policing, just so that, you know, obviously when this committee is formed, they will certainly get this class as well, and be able to uncover even more. But let's make everything as transparent as we can up front. And that was my thought, is maybe use that August 20th meeting for that purpose, if it makes sense. I just wanted to hear other people's thoughts on that.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I think I went to the meeting this morning. I thought it was really great, and we had a lot of community members who asked some great questions. I think it's a little different with everybody sitting around. I think the format, it does bring up a lot of questions. I think that's a great idea, as long as there is a system for people to talk. A lot of people have a lot of questions. And I think it was nice today because it was a small meeting, but I think if it got larger, it might be a little bit difficult to make sure that everybody has their voice heard. That's my only observation from having been at this morning's get together, which I thought was wonderful, actually.
I think Neil, you want to say?
No, I was going to say if we're all done, we can go on to the next meeting. But
I'll just respond to your question, David, and I think that sounds great.
Is everyone else all set with what we have here? And with that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the Police Commission meeting.
If I could, David,
Okay.
I'll get a hold of you and then, you know, come up with that. And, you know, even if we don't get through all of it, I'll make that at least the basis for the August 20th meeting, and then we can see what we can get through with it.
Yeah, I think it's wise. The other possibility is to have a special meeting of the town board, so that it's videoed and so that anyone can get it at any time. But I'll talk offline with other members of the town board and see where that makes sense to happen, whether it's a special meeting of the town board that everyone can participate in or get a recording of, or whether it's going to be in the town hall format, which is not recorded. Okay, so we'll
Okay.
talk more, Rob. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think that's it, Neil.
Okay. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
And with that, we are going to have, we have 3 public hearings this evening. Before we start the public hearings, though, I thought, you know, Kara Lee, who's been taking the lead on the CPP task force, would like to give us a short presentation about them. And Kara, I think you're here and you can unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I think you should be able to share the screen.
Yes.
And let me know if I need to do anything. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here to participate in our public hearing on the Community Preservation Plan and Fund. There are a number of people who have been working on the task force very diligently since January to bring it to this point, and a number of them are on the call. So thank you to all of those people. I'm here on behalf of the Community Preservation Task Force, which got going in January. It's made up of members of the Environmental Conservation Board, the Clean Water Open Space Protection Commission, and the Historic Preservation Commission. And I'm tonight going to give a quick overview of the plan and the fund before we really open the public hearing. And the town board members have seen these presentations, so I'm going to move through it pretty quickly. but I think for the benefit of people who haven't seen it, we thought it made sense to go through it. So first of all, just as a little bit of background, in 2007, the New York State Legislature passed the the Hudson Valley Community Preservation Act. And it allowed communities in Westchester and Putnam counties to create dedicated non-transferable funds for protecting what they referred to as community character, and to use that fund to implement a community preservation plan and to acquire rights or interests in real property in accordance with that plan with the cooperation of willing sellers. The fund would be set up to receive revenues, gifts of lands, and other funds. And it also enabled communities in those counties to create a local real estate transfer tax. So the community preservation, in order to have a community preservation fund, you have to have a community preservation plan that identifies what your priorities are and must identify all the parcels in your town that would be eligible for consideration for protection with funds from the Community Preservation Fund. And you have to have a Community Preservation Advisory Board who's very familiar with the law and the parcels of land in town and can advise the board. So I'm going to talk first quickly about the plan itself, which has to adhere to the requirements of the Hudson Valley Community Preservation Act, and it's pretty specific about what it requires. You have to be able to describe the purpose of your program, and you have to map and define what your priority areas are, your focus areas. And for each focus area, identify parcels very specifically in terms of their acreage and why they're a priority. And the plan also requires you to look at other tools that the town has to protect resources. So those would be things we would find in our code or in our zoning. So in New Paltz, we identified our focus areas or our priorities. And these are categories that will look familiar to you because these are categories that we've talked about in New Paltz for a long time. And so these are the things that we identified as being important to protect in New Paltz in order to protect our community character. I'm sorry, I have to just back up for a minute. Okay. So in order to do this, first of all, we reviewed all the town's prior plans, inventories, and studies. And we compiled all the existing mapped information from these studies and combined it with newer information from public agencies and not-for-profits. And using that information, we developed a comprehensive database using computer mapping software. Altogether, we compiled 35 data sources and used mapped information to define these 7 community focus areas, which are broad categories of natural and cultural resources. We then used computer mapping software to overlay information to identify the natural and cultural features present on each parcel. For example, to evaluate water resources, we analyzed every parcel in the town and village to look for the presence of reservoirs, their watersheds, aquifers, floodplains, wetlands, and other criteria. If a water resource was present, the parcel would receive a point. The points then get added up so that we can give each parcel a score. We repeated this process, adding other resources, and created a giant spreadsheet with each parcel's attributes using 35 different criteria, defining the 7 resource focus areas. And a total score has been calculated for each parcel. Altogether, of our 3,900 parcels in the town of New Paltz, about 1,500 parcels were identified as containing priority natural and cultural resources. The analysis identifies where multiple natural and/or cultural resources are present and may be considered a higher priority from a conservation standpoint. The plan is intended to serve as a decision support tool and prioritize eligible parcels for potential conservation under a community preservation plan. or program. And I never want to fail to say the program is based entirely on working with willing landowners. Not all parcels will be protected, and in some cases will rely on our local laws and zoning tools to address conservation of natural and cultural resources. So I just want to shift gears here a little bit. The plan I've just described is a science-based plan. It's detailed and it represents a sophisticated tool for us to use going forward. But this is a list of the types of lands that the law identifies that would be eligible for protection. And again, this is a list that probably looks familiar because these are the types of properties that we have been talking about for a long time. I just want you to note the little sidebar there that while the funds can be used for protection or acquisition of these properties or conservation easements on these properties, the fund also enables up to 10% to be used for stewardship of lands that are protected with the fund, which is very important. Stewardship is often forgotten, but really critical. Which leads also to what the law says in terms of land management. The law is specific that allows for public use and enjoyment of the lands that are protected under the Community Conservation Fund. But that's also to be consistent with the natural, scenic, and historic character of the land. So it balances public use with protection. It's intended to preserve natural biological diversity, and it specifies that improvements are to enhance access but be limited so that it doesn't actually impact the natural resources we've protected. Preserves cultural properties consistent with standard for historic preservation. And importantly, the law specifies that we can enter into agreements with not-for-profits to engage in land trust activities. This is something we've been doing in New Paltz for quite a while. We work closely with the Wallkill Valley Land Trust to help us with stewardship and monitoring of protected properties. And finally, it specifies that lands purchased with these funds cannot be sold, leased, exchanged, donated, or otherwise disposed of without an act of the state legislature. So let's turn to the source of revenue for this. The law also is specific about the ability to create a local real estate transfer tax, which is not something that very many communities have. But for us here in New Paltz, it would be an alternative or a supplement to our current open space funding, which is a bond, which we passed in 2006 to assist with open space protection. Each time we use the bond, however, there's an implication for New Paltz taxpayers. One of the benefits of the real estate transfer tax is it's a one-time payment paid by the buyer of a property coming to New Paltz, and there's no implication for resident taxpayers. The structure of the tax is defined by the law. It can be up to 2% of the purchase price with a $245,000 exemption, which has been determined by the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance and is based on the Ulster County median sales price. We estimate that this would generate approximately $240,000 in revenue annually to go to our Community Preservation Fund. So this is a little bit more on the tax structure, and I'll just quickly walk you through it. I've already said that there's the $245,000 exemption, 2% tax, and an estimated yearly revenue of $240,000. As you can see in the little table below, at $245,000, there is zero tax levied, and with a higher priced home, that exemption still applies. So a $300,000 house would be taxed on $55,000 with a real estate transfer tax of $1,100. So that's how it's structured. We also looked at the exemption and how it would play out with the New Paltz real estate market, and we looked at the distribution of residential properties sold in New Paltz over the last 6 years, 2014 to 2019. And you can see the distribution here, that most of our houses are selling for between 200 and the peak is between $200,000 and $300,000. So this exemption would apply to about 39% of the buyers in New Paltz. So that's useful to know. Also, we looked at where does the revenue come from in terms of commercial properties versus single or multifamily, and you can see that the bulk of the revenue comes from the sale of single-family homes. So a few takeaways about using a real estate transfer tax. There aren't that many options for us at this point in terms of funding for open space protection because of the 2% property tax cap that's been imposed in New York State. And a real estate transfer tax really represents a sustainable source of revenue for open space and historic preservation in New Paltz, and it benefits everyone in the community. Again, I've said that residents of New Paltz will not experience a new property tax, which I think is important for all of us. The exemption will benefit buyers at the lower end of the market and will help protect affordability for first-time home buyers. And that the program itself is really an investment in the community and will protect the qualities that really attract buyers to New Paltz in the first place. And that buyers will really be investing in maintaining the value of their properties by contributing to this fund. I just want to mention briefly that there are several other communities, one in Orange County in Warwick and Red Hook in Dutchess County, that have been doing this for a number of years. And we've worked most closely with Red Hook to understand their experience. Their program has been in place for about 10 years. Their realtors tell us that the number of real estate transactions has just gone up every year since it was adopted. They've been able to accrue $2.4 million over 10 years and have protected 1,800 acres of farmland and open space and have created public access and trails with their fund. This is a quote from the Red Hook supervisor, Robert McKeon. I won't read it all to you, but he talks about how this is an insurance policy, both for the home buyer and for the community. And that they're very proud in Red Hook of what they've been able to accomplish with their community preservation fund. So that ends our very quick presentation. And I'll just say that I think that sometimes people say to me, well, don't we have a lot of open space? Well, we do have a lot of open space, but we have a lot of open space that's not protected and a lot of vulnerable places that deserve protection. And I think people have come to appreciate over the last handful of months how important it is for the health and well-being of all of us to have the open space we have here in New Paltz and the historic character, which is so fundamental to our community. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it back to the town board.
Thank you, Kara.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who helped get us to this point. Thank you very much. And with that, I would like to make a motion to open 3 public hearings, one for local law B, Community Preservation Fund, one for local law C, the Community Preservation Plan, and one for local law D, the Community Preservation Transfer Tax. And so, can I get a second?
Second, Julie?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And so, so just before we start, I'd like to say that we have already received many public comments via email. Those will all be entered into the minutes as well. For tonight's comments, in order to keep background noise down, everyone is muted. People attending via video can raise their hand to make a comment via the raise your hand part of that. And if you're calling in, you can press *9 to raise your hand. Each participant will be asked to keep comments to 3 minutes so that everyone can have a chance to be heard. And if anyone wants to comment, if they miss this, we're going to keep these hearings open for the rest of the meeting tonight, in case you didn't get here before 7:22. So with that, I'd like to open it up. And I know you, Ariel, you've been waiting a while, so trying to unmute you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Fantastic, thanks. Kara, that was a really amazing presentation. As some of you know, I've been a realtor in New Paltz since 2001, and I just support the 2% transfer tax, because I feel that it's a very, in the grand scheme of things, when you're buying a house, that it's not going to cause anyone to balk. I like the fact that there's 245, where people who are kind of coming into the market at a lower level aren't expected to participate. Maybe they don't have the money. Maybe that would make a real difference to them. I appreciate that. But I think most people that are coming here because of these very qualities, and they may not be able to articulate exactly that, because we're more familiar, for instance, with the parcels that need to be protected. They just sort of drive through them and go, wow, this is so beautiful. So I'm just very much in favor of it. I think it's a great project. I'm very inspired that Red Hook has been doing it for as long as they have. Very local and very successful track record. And I think that's about all I have to say, but I'm very much in favor of it.
Cool. Thank you. And Christy DeBoer.
Hi, thank you, Neil, and thank you, Kara. Wonderful presentation, and for everyone that has worked on this. My name is Christy DeBoer. I'm the Executive Director of the Walcott Valley Land Trust, which is a nonprofit charged with protecting open space, rail trails, and farms here in Ulster County, and our office is located in New Paltz. As the town of New Paltz considers the creation of this community preservation fund, the Walcott Valley Land Trust is in full support of the measure as it aligns with our mission. The benefits for creating local preservation funds are numerous, as Kara has shared with us. From an environmental perspective, this opportunity supports the much needed preservation of open space, and on a local level. Open space preservation is essential in protecting clean water, agricultural lands, and natural habitats. The fund will also help foster collaboration between local nonprofits and other stakeholders to ensure open space is protected for generations to come. From a health and wellness perspective, the creation of a New Paltz Community Preservation Fund will help support open space that can be used for passive recreational uses. And from a historical and cultural perspective, the fund can help support the preservation of historical assets, which are key to maintaining New Paltz's rich cultural heritage. Finally, from an economic perspective, a New Paltz Community Preservation Fund can help bolster local economy by improving the area's quality of life. I know that's why myself, a Floridian, is up here to stay. In short, creation of this fund is a win for the community, its residents, visitors, businesses, and the environment. And thank you very much for considering this and letting me speak.
Thank you. Anyone else? Scenic Hudson.
Hi, yes, can you hear me? This is actually Carly Fraccaroli here from Scenic Hudson.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So hi, everybody. If you don't know me, my name is Carly Fraccaroli. I'm the Advocacy Associate at Scenic Hudson. Let me just start my video here so you can see my face and not just my voice. There we go. So I just wanted to say that if you're unfamiliar with Scenic Hudson, part of our mission is to preserve land and farms and create parks that connect people to the Hudson River. And to that end, we've been active advocates for local land preservation legislation, including advocating for the passage of the Hudson Valley CPA and the addition of the Ulster County to that program at the state level, as well as convening municipalities in an educational forum to share how the program actually works. We did that back in November. And we were also glad to collaborate with the town, county, and the Wallkill Valley Land Trust on the recent conservation easement on Taliaferro Farm. And we support wholeheartedly a 2% real estate transfer tax with that exemption on the first $245,000 of the purchase price of a residential home. Like Kara said, and like Red Hook has said, this tax would act as an insurance policy, ensuring that the character of the community would not be overrun by development. As evidenced by the achievements of community preservation funds in Red Hook, Warwick, and Long Island, like Kara said, this is a tremendous opportunity for New Paltz to conserve both its recreational infrastructure and abundant natural resources. And for example, in the town of Red Hook, their 2007 Community Preservation Fund that was mentioned earlier has helped to permanently protect over 60% of their working farmland, which is really significant for them with a pretty rural town. So the protection of a community's open space has proven time and time again to benefit the public, like we've heard, the facilitation of recreation and healthy lifestyles, jobs in the tourism and service sector, protection of drinking water quality, et cetera, and finally just attracting outside investment in the community are just a handful of opportunities that this fund could bring to New Paltz. So as you can see, there are many reasons that we hope you vote yes tonight, and I appreciate your consideration of this fund. Thank you for letting me speak.
Sorry, admin, you're unmuted. I was on mute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, this is David Gilmore, and I am a resident in New Paltz and rise in full support of this measure, as I'm sure all of you do. However, I do want to make a few comments, and if I may, I'd like to reserve the opportunity to also submit written commentary. First of all, a few process observations. The document's not searchable. At least I wasn't able to easily use keywords on a policy document, and I do think that in rapidly being able to consume a document like this, that would be useful. And moreover, I did feel that tonight's meeting link was somewhat buried on the town board's website. Now jumping to the plan, and again, thank you for the volunteers, and of course, I'm sure you appreciated the help from a consultant. But, and I raise in comment to this plan, again, fully in support of the notion of distributed sources of financing, the urgent need for community preservation. However, I guess I'm more conservative, and in that sense, I am alarmingly concerned about the future of Earth. And I support perhaps saving more than half now, as E.O. Wilson might perceive or advocate for, and try to in fact say that we may be out of time and we may be far more advanced in planetary collapse than most of us can even begin to perceive. That said, the plan, which does have the ability to achieve protection of threatened ecological resources, there should be further effort to align this plan with immediate economic and social and ecological restructuring that could advance health, sustainability, and survivability within New Paltz and the world. And in that regard, there should be specific content added on potential to aid carbon sequestration through particular land preservation options. There should be further drill down beyond the 2010 community agricultural preservation plan on how to support community agriculture and many different forms of edible sourcing, as much as that may be a take that's contrary to the local law, but we may need to help sustain ourselves in terms of food shed. And finally, again, is it regardless or irregardless? Didn't they just add irregardless to the dictionary? But again, the concern for climate protection also would lead me to urge the town board to get going expeditiously on also adopting smart growth zoning that can be a complement to an open space planning process and financing system, so that we're also moving to get smart and efficient land use and transportation systems that we can achieve in New Paltz and also achieve necessary economic restructuring and sustainability. So in that sense, I really do believe that we're obligated to run as fast and as far and as furiously as we can to aggressively adopt this as again, aggressive climate mitigative tool. And I thank you for entertaining my hyperbole.
Rose?
Okay, I can unmute myself, yes. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. Thank you, Kara, and everyone who has been working on this, for your hard work. A lot of thought has gone into this, and so I'm here to represent the Environmental Conservation Board of the Town of New Paltz. Dear members of the Town of New Paltz Town Board, the Town of New Paltz Environmental Conservation Board expresses full support for adoption of the Community Preservation Plan and Fund. New Paltz is endowed with an extraordinary natural heritage, from the Shawangunk Ridge and the Wallkill Flats to the Plutarch Woods and Swartkill Wetlands. Our natural areas and open spaces are home to rich biodiversity, provide clean drinking water, and support local farms. These assets are a large part of what makes New Paltz a desirable place to live and visit. While the town and conservation organizations have made significant investments in land conservation, many treasured places are not protected and are vulnerable to development. The 2007 Town and Village of New Paltz build-out and fiscal analysis found that there were nearly 7,000 acres open to development in the town and village, and that full build-out would result in approximately 3,000 new single-family homes in New Paltz. Cumulatively, and even if best practices are employed, full build-out would likely result in significant impacts to water resources, habitats, and wildlife, not to mention the traffic through town, and would fundamentally change our small town community character. The fiscal analysis found that if the town were able to conserve 3,000 acres of land, property owners would save an average of $70 per year in property taxes than compared with the build-out scenario. Because land conservation doesn't require any of the public services that residential developments do. The UNCB is dedicated to seeking ways to conserve the town's valuable natural resources and routinely recommends conservation measures to the planning board and project sponsors of proposed new development. However, perhaps the most effective conservation action we can take as a town is to protect the land that matters most through conservation easements or acquisition. The town's 2007 open space bond has been a vital tool for preserving some of our most special places, such as the Millbrook Preserve and Taliaferro Farm. Nevertheless, bond spending impacts all property taxpayers, and the tax cap and bonds must be reapproved over time. As seen in other communities like Red Hook and Warwick, establishment of a community preservation fund will create a sustainable long-term revenue source for land conservation and stewardship, and will undoubtedly leverage substantial outside funding through partnerships with local and regional conservation organizations. This may be the most important action you can take in your public service to the town toward protecting New Paltz's cherished natural areas, clean water, farms, scenic landscapes, and historic character. Vote yes to approve the Community Preservation Plan and Fund. Sincerely, Ingrid Hakel, Chair, Town of New Paltz Environmental Conservation Board, on behalf of the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Rose. Anyone else like to make a comment? We're gonna, we're also, I'll ask one more time before we do anything with this at the end of the meeting, just to make sure if people are still putting their notes together now. If no one has a comment now, we will.
Bill
Yep.
Houston is raising his hand.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I do not see that. If
His real hand.
oh, sorry. Okay. So let's see. I have a bunch of co-hosts. If someone wants to unmute him, I will.
I just did, Neil.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I had a question regarding the $245,000 exemption. Is that indexed to inflation or real estate values over time? And secondly, could you clarify what differences there may be for commercial properties versus residential? Thank you.
Neil, do you want me to
Sure.
try and answer that? The median sale price that's used for the exemption is set by the state, and it's tied to the county median sales price. And so that is reevaluated over time.
I think yearly.
I think it's yearly, yeah. So we can expect to see that exemption probably go up.
Hopefully.
And then your question about commercial properties is that the real estate transfer tax would apply to commercial properties as well.
And that's the state law. We can't make differences between properties. So we're just going by the state law. So Aaron.
Okay.
Bill, did you have a follow-up to that?
Yeah, do the commercial properties also get the exemption then, the 245?
Yes.
Hi, Kara Lee. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Erin Quinn from Hudson Valley One. Just a quick question. Is there a list, Kara, of the most desired properties? You said they were scored from 1 to 23. Is there anywhere to access that list of the properties you feel are the most valuable?
So that's a great question, but the answer is no, there isn't a list. What we described in the plan is a tool for evaluating properties should they become available, or should a willing landowner come forward and say, consider my property for a conservation easement. Then we're able to apply this tool and look at all these criteria and evaluate how it would score. So we haven't created a list of priorities that are site specific. But we will use the tool as we move forward to choose priorities.
And just a follow-up, Carolee, how would that work? Is there going to be an outreach program to landowners, or is that a follow-up part of this plan where you create a priority list and reach out to those landowners?
So the law requires that there is a advisory board established, and it's made up of 7 residents of the community, and it encourages us to include a farmer in that group. And there are lots of different ways to do outreach to identify willing landowners, some of which we've done over the last 10 or 15 years with our Clean Water Open Space Protection Commission. And also we work with partners who are in the land protection business who can help us identify potential willing landowners, because it all does revolve around people wanting to conserve their land.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Ingrid, you had a question?
I just wanted to clarify that the plan does include lists of, tables with lists of parcels and their scores. So you can see and you can look up a parcel according to its SBL number and see how it's scored in the appendices of the plan.
Okay, I take back what I said.
And where can that be accessed?
That's all under the Community Preservation Task Force page on the town website.
Anyone else? Not. We'll keep these open for a little bit, and then in case anyone else joins before the end of the town board meeting. But if no one has anything to say right now, I'd like to move on to the town board portion of the meeting and make a motion to open the town board meeting of July 16th, 2020 to order.
Second, Julie.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And with that, I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
David, second.
And I'd like to add an item F to the consent agenda. It's just approval that the finance department will be absorbing the water sewer billing and customer service functions with the comptroller's assistance, along with anticipated union negotiations regarding compensation.
Neil, I only see the consent agenda going to D right now, as in David.
We
Is there
did.
item E that I'm missing?
Am I here? Yeah, I think that's an authorization to establish a monthly minimum billing amount for water and sewer. It was kind of late at the end of the day. So we were billing water and sewer quarterly before. We've moved it to monthly. So all we did, we divided the quarterly by 3. Like none of the numbers are changing, but it's a new number, but we just have to have, so the rate people pay isn't changing. We've just divided the quarterly numbers by 3 and now it's the same, but it's just monthly.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yeah, announcements. As people know, the county fair has been canceled this year, but they are going to host a drive-in fireworks event at the county fairgrounds, the parking lot, on Tuesday, August 4th. The lot will be open at 7:30 p.m. Socially distanced parking will be assisted by the New Paltz Police Department and volunteers from the New Paltz Youth Program. Fireworks will begin around 8:30. So get ready for that. And then with that, I would like to open the public input for the town board meeting. If anyone has any comments for the town board, please raise your hand. I'll make sure we address them with lots of comment tonight. If not, I'd like to make a motion to, and here it is, approve the consent agenda. There is an explanation here on my notes, but make a motion to approve the consent agenda, 1A through 1F.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the July warrant in the amount of $597,554.92.
David, seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve a bond resolution posted on the town website authorizing the issuance of up to $9,231,000 aggregate principal amount serial bonds of the town of New Paltz, County of Ulster, State of New York, pursuant to the local finance law to provide supplemental funds to the construction of an alternate town and village water supply system in Water District number 5.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And with that, does anyone have any further comments on local laws B, C, or D?
Neil, maybe, again, I'm looking at an old agenda, but item 3 on the agenda was authorized to hire Diane Lee as part-time building department clerk.
Yeah, move that to the end because I'm always worried about having problems with coming in and out of executive session, that we lose the live stream. So we're gonna, that's the last item on the agenda. In case we lose the live stream, we don't kick everyone off who's watching on YouTube. Sorry.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, we had some changes at the end of the day. Sorry about that. I'll make sure we send out an updated one.
So just to repeat, you're looking for any final comment for the public hearing on laws B, C, and D.
Yes. And if not, then I'd like to make a motion to close public hearings for local laws B, C, and D.
Second, Julie?
Second,
discussion?
Alex.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 So this, now we have some seeker review. Ted is here, or is Victoria? I mean, who's going to go through the seeker with us, Victoria?
If Ted is here, he can do it, but I don't see him, so I'm happy to do it.
That would be, I would appreciate that. I don't see him here. Hopefully he didn't have trouble logging in. I didn't get any emails from him or anything. Let me check one more time. Okay, I don't see anything. So if you could do that, that would be great. And I think I made you a co-host, so
Sure.
if you need to share your screen.
Can you put up, I should have to email this to myself. Do you have the part 2 of the EAF? Can you share it? Otherwise, I'll email it to myself.
Yeah, I'm opening it. My computer is like maxed out with the stuff that's going on. Here we go. So just take. Okay. How's that?
Oh, perfect.
And let me know where you, if you need me to scroll down.
So what the board is looking at is part 2 of the full environmental assessment form. Ted Fink has gone through and suggested answers for the board. I've reviewed them and we made some changes prior to the meeting. So this is the form that you use to identify any potential impacts to the environment based on the adoption of these 3 local laws. So the first question it asks is impact on land. Is it going to involve construction on, physical alteration of the land surface? The recommended answer here is no, because you're just adopting plans, and any future acquisition of property under this plan will require its own seeker review. So if you end up purchasing property and creating a park, that's going to have its own separate review. The next question is impact on geological features. Again, there's no physical disturbance proposed. So the recommended answer here is no. I know when we did this in person a few months back on the zoning, everyone kind of chimed in, but given the format, I'm just telling you what the recommended answer is, and you can discuss and change it at the end. 3, impacts on surface water. Proposed action may affect one or more wetlands. Surface water, again, there's no physical disturbance proposed. Same with item 4, impact on groundwater. And item 5, impact on flooding. Impact on air, again, no change. Impact on plants and animals, no change. And item 8, impact on agricultural resources. And it is checked yes, because there are agricultural districts within the town of New Paltz which could be impacted by this plan. And he has indicated on the bottom under other impacts that it's designed to protect farmland. So any impact would be positive. Aesthetic resources, the threshold here is that it would result in something obviously different from, in sharp contrast to, current land use patterns. No. For historic and archaeological resources, that's checked yes. And the reason for that is that your open space plan does involve some historic properties within the town of New Paltz. But if you go through the checklist, you'll see that all of the items don't meet the threshold for a large impact. So it will occur wholly or partially within an archaeological site, potentially, but there's no physical disturbance proposed, so that's checked no. It may occur within a listed or eligible for listing area, potentially, but again, no physical disturbance, so it's checked no. So all those are checked no. Impact on open space and recreation, that's question 11. The threshold here is that it would result in a loss of recreational opportunities, and that's checked no. Impact on critical environmental areas, also checked no, there are none in the town. Impact on transportation, again, there's no physical disturbance, checked no. Impact on energy is a no. Noise, odor, light is a no. And human health is a no. Consistency with community plans, this is a double negative. The threshold here is that the action would not be consistent with the adopted plans. So that is checked no. And consistency with community character, that the project would be inconsistent with your community character. And again, that's checked no, you're trying to preserve your community character. So I saw that Ted Fink just entered the room. So he can go through part 3 with the board. So if anyone has any questions or comments on how part 2, how the answers on this form were recommended, we can discuss them now, and then we can move on to part 3.
Ted, do you want to take over screen sharing, or just do you want me to continue doing this?
Ted, you're muted. Here, I got you. Nope, you have to do it yourself.
Yep. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, Victoria, I gather you went through the part 2 EAF and explained the different boxes and so forth that needed to be answered to fill out that part of the form. And the next one then is the part 3, which is the evaluation of the magnitude, the importance of the project impacts that are identified. And the only one I believe that was, there were 2 topical areas that were identified: agriculture and historic and archaeological resources. From the part 2 EAF. So those are the only 2 that would actually require a narrative to be provided in the part 3 EAF, which essentially is an explanation of what the impact is and whether or not any mitigation measures are necessary. And because the way that the seeker form is structured, it's primarily structured for identifying adverse impacts. And as she probably already explained, this is a action that is designed to protect the environment, to protect environmental resources. And so the form itself is not really that well structured for doing that kind of thing. But what I did in any case was simply to go through each of the topical areas and identified the potential impacts. And in each case, all of the 18 topical areas, there is expected to be a positive impact. In other words, it would be a beneficial impact on the environment as a result of the community preservation program for the town. And so, you know, I went through each of the relevant areas, for instance, impact on land, impact on geological features, surface water, and so forth. And all of the impact areas that you'll find on the form itself are primarily those actions that are going to be limited to some sort of a development that would have a physical alteration of the environmental resources. And that would include groundwater, flooding, impacts on air, impacts on plants and animal. The eighth one, the impact on agricultural resources, this was, again, a positive impact. And I felt that because there is a lot of emphasis in the community preservation program, as well as the Hudson Valley Community Preservation Act, on protecting farms and agriculture, to say something about that. And of course, the town has got the Agricultural and Farmland Preservation Plan that was conducted back about 10 years ago. And that specifically recommended a program like the transfer tax and the community preservation program as one of the ways to protect and help agriculture within the town of New Paltz. Impact on aesthetic resources, primarily scenic view sheds and these sorts of things. There is no development. So again, this is something that's designed to be beneficial for aesthetic resources. Historic and archaeological resources, the Part 3 EAF did identify that the actions occur within a town-wide level. And so because the town and the village have resources, historic resources that are on the national and the state registers of historic places, it does require that there be a positive answer to that question, that yes, there would be an impact. But as you'll see in the document, I explained that that impact is primarily for preservation and protection of those historic resources. So there are no adverse impacts associated with it. The remaining ones, impact on open space and recreation. Again, it is a benefit to the environment by providing for additional lands that would be protected adjoining existing recreational areas within the town and the village, including trails, as well as for acquisition of additional lands that could be used for open space and recreation purposes. There are no critical environmental areas in the town of New Paltz, and so this one simply recognizes that, so that question was not applicable to the proposed actions before you tonight. Impact on transportation, there does not expect to be any adverse impacts, and in fact, one thing that I did identify is that it could have the effect of lessening the demand on existing transportation systems through the development of additional trails within the community that would be used by pedestrians and bicyclists, and that may have an effect of actually lowering the demands on the transportation systems that primarily serve cars within the community. Impact on energy is another one. Again, that was similar to transportation, that if it increases travel by bicycle and by pedestrians, then that would have a positive effect on energy and could reduce the use of energy resources within the community. The final one, the next two, I'm sorry, impact on noise, odor, and light, and impact on human health. Again, there are no adverse impacts that would be associated with either of those topical areas. And so the response here in narrative form recognizes that. Consistency with community plans. This is probably the most comprehensive one that I prepared for the Part 3 EAF, because in developing the community preservation plan for the town, I went back and examined every one of the planning reports, comprehensive plans, and other plans that had been developed in the community by the town of New Paltz, the village of New Paltz, and by partners within the community. And one thing that was remarkable about it was that each one of these plans that had been prepared, and I went back all the way to 1966, looking at the first planning study that was done for the town of New Paltz. There was a consistent theme that ran through each of these planning studies, that the town was a special place and that it was worthy of protecting the important natural and cultural resources within the community to protect its character. And so within this one, I went through and identified each of these plans and then discussed how the community preservation plan, it builds upon and it complements and is consistent with the town's adopted open space plan, comprehensive plan, farmland preservation plan, and so forth. And it is important to ensure that there is consistency here, and based upon my review, I do believe that there is consistency with not only the plan, but also with the Hudson Valley Community Preservation Act itself, which spells out exactly what sort of resources are important for protecting the town and the village's community character. And so that recognizes that. And finally, consistency with community character. That's the purpose of the program, is to ensure consistency with the community character of New Paltz through adoption of this program. And so that is the Part 3 EAF. It also serves a double duty as a negative declaration that no further environmental studies would need to be done in the form of a draft environmental impact statement. And so if the town board is comfortable with the seeker environmental assessment form, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, including the narrative that I just quickly ran through, then I believe that it would be appropriate for the board to also consider adoption of a negative declaration. And I believe that Victoria or Christine has prepared a resolution to that effect. If the board does adopt that resolution tonight, then there are certain filing requirements because this is a type 1 action. And all type 1 actions, when a negative declaration has been adopted on them, do require an additional level of filing, and it has to appear in the environmental notice bulletin and so forth. So that should be in your packet tonight, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So if no one has questions, I'll jump in with a question.
Go ahead.
Before you go ahead and vote on the negative declaration, I'd like the board to discuss whether or not you're going to propose an amendment to local law D, just so that the language in the negative declaration reflects the proper laws.
Yes. So, we'd had a little bit of a discussion at the last meeting about the tax rate of 1.5% versus 2%. The idea is let's try to keep this as low as we can, but still generate enough money to actually accomplish what we've set out to do. And I think, the committee that we put together talked amongst themselves. They talked to a bunch of people in town. I think they reached out to a lot of people in town. And I think I'm making a proposal to the board that we lower the rate from 2 to 1.5%. And does the board want to discuss that? Thoughts?
This is David. I would like to support that change. I'm glad the committee thought about this some more. I do think the key issue is this will have to go before the voters in a referendum, and we don't want to miss the opportunity to get this done. And I think the chances of us getting this done more easily and without incident happens with a 1.5% transfer tax, and I support that change.
I support that for the same reason, David.
I support that for the same reason as well. I think we'll get less pushback.
You're breaking up a little bit, Alex.
I don't necessarily. Alex is trying to talk.
Hey, Alex, we didn't hear you there.
Sorry, I'm gonna speak quickly.
No, sorry, I was just saying that yeah, I'll talk after David.
Okay. Alex, we can hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I support what you said. I support what David and Julie said about it being 1.5. I think we'll get less pushback with that, and I think it fulfills the goal of what we're trying to achieve.
And Dan, you had a comment as well?
Yeah, I respectfully disagree. I don't think electorally people are going to make a big difference between 1.5% and 2%. I respect the will of the board at large, but I think that we only get one shot at this. It's also a presidential election, which is going to have a significant turnout for our community as well. And I think our community has consistently illustrated that items like this are things that they support. Either way, I'm really happy that we're supporting this at large, it sounds like, and this is what we're going to go forward to, but my ideal preference would be 2, but I also respect the views of my colleagues on this one as well.
Can I ask Kara or another member of the committee to kind of comment on, how they thought about this? This was just a discussion that we had after the presentations last meeting, and just want to know what was the thinking between meetings and why you've rethought some of this as well. Can you share any additional thinking?
Karen. Okay.
I will, and there may be other people from the committee who would like to. And I think, we feel like we can't increase the exemption, which would help people who are first-time home buyers. The only thing we have flexibility on is the rate. And so I think it's important that people feel we're making an effort to keep it manageable and affordable. And I also am concerned about how it fares in the referendum. And I think that by not going to the maximum, I think it represents better. And I think affordability is an issue in our community, and it's a real issue. And so it's out of respect for that we thought lowering it made sense.
Anybody else from the committee want to speak to that issue? Not necessary, but just want to offer.
I think Kara expressed well kind of the discussion and sentiments that we had.
Okay. So is that enough, Victoria, that we would be changing?
So we prepared a resolution for you to, it introduces local law D1 and schedules a public hearing.
Okay.
Do you have that?
Don't
Let
know
me
if I have-
email all these documents.
Yeah.
Victoria, can we still pass B and C today and wait on D? Is that?
So, right, but before, it's just an order that needs to be followed, so that before you complete seeker, I would like you to introduce this new local law so that seeker's completed on the new law.
I think you did send that, and I think Kathy's put that up. So,
You know what, if you just give me a minute, I can pull it up.
Okay.
I'm just working from 2 computers because I'm at home and I
Yeah,
don't have it on the right one, of course. So let's see. Okay, well, while it's waiting, the board all received a copy of local law D1 already, right? And it's been uploaded?
yeah.
Okay, so I can just read through the resolution.
Okay. It's all in Dropbox.
Yeah.
I can try to pull that up too.
There we go. Resolution. Okay. So it's resolution to schedule a public hearing on proposed local law D1, revised proposed of 2020 relating to a real estate transfer tax for the Community Preservation Fund. So it recites that you had a law, that the law's changed. And so it asks you to pick a date for hearing. Now therefore be resolved, the Town Board of Town of New Paltz hereby, 1, will hold a public hearing on July 30th, 2020 at
7 p.m.
7 p.m. 2, the town clerk is authorized and directed to publish notice in the New Paltz Times. And 3, the town clerk shall provide copies of the notice to all the named agencies. And a copy of the local law.
Okay, I would like to make that motion.
I second the motion, David.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Victoria. And with that, are we good to go for the local law B and C? this
First,
evening?
we just need to do the seeker neg deck. So let me pull that up. So this is a resolution adopting a seeker determination of significance for local law B of 2020, local law C of 2020, and local law D1 of 2020, a negative declaration. And again, you've all received this in your Dropbox. It just recites the name of all the local laws, that you've reviewed the EAF, parts 2 and 3, and this is the resolved clause. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of the Town of New Paltz, by not less of a majority, that 1, adopts a negative declaration and determines that the adoption of the proposed local laws will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. And 2, authorizes and directs the town clerk to distribute a copy of this resolution to all involved and interested agencies, town supervisor, any person that has requested a copy, and to make all other filings required by law. So motion to adopt that resolution.
I'll make that motion to adopt that resolution.
Second? Neil?
Any comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Victoria.
So if you do you want to move on to the next one?
Yes. B and C.
B. The format should look familiar by this point. This is a resolution authorizing the adoption by the town board of the town of New Paltz of local law number B proposed of 2020, establishing a community preservation fund and creating a community preservation fund advisory board as authorized by general municipal law, section 6S, for the purpose of preserving natural, scenic, historic, and open space resources within the town. And it goes through the whereas clauses and that you would be adopting the law. So once everyone has read it, you can make a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution. Neil,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And resolution to adopt local law C.
Did everyone, I only heard 3 ayes.
Aye.
I said aye, Alex.
Okay, just making sure someone might have been on mute.
Is anyone opposed?
Aye.
Wait, Julie, are you opposed?
No, I'm in favor. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just was,
So all in favor?
I was late. Mhm.
Okay,
Aye.
C.
all right, I'm pulling up the last one. And this is the resolution authorizing the adoption by the town board of the town of New Paltz of local law C proposed of 2020 for a local law adopting a community preservation project plan. So if there are no questions, you could make a motion to adopt the resolution.
This is Neil. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Second, Dan.
Discussion?
Just a question, Victoria. I thought B was the plan, C was the fund, and D was the tax. Can you just check that?
Well, yeah, let me check that.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, you just said to adopt the plan, so I just want to be clear that now we're adopting the fund.
No, C is the plan.
Okay,
B was
the
the fund.
okay, my mistake.
I can go back, hold on.
Um,
Stop share.
let's see. Yep. C is the plan. B is the fund.
B was the fund.
B, and then D is the tax.
My mistake. Thank you.
No, it's a good question. There's a lot of words. And so, we want to make sure we're getting it right. So we did this one
I have
already.
no questions, and I think we can. There's already been a second, Christy, right? So we can just vote to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All in favor. That was good. And I think that's it, right? So now and we have set the public hearing already for 2 weeks from, or do we need to do that? Right, 2 weeks from tonight at 7 o'clock?
You set
July
the public
30th?
hearing already.
And so with that, I think we're all set for this.
Hi.
Thank you very
Hi,
much, everyone. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Victoria.
Okay.
Thank you, Ingrid, Kara.
Everyone.
Thank you
John.
very much.
Right.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And with that, so the last thing is I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters of personnel.
David, second.
And so with that, I'm going to pause. Well, yeah, I'm just telling everyone, so it's all on camera. So I'm going to pause the recording, and I'm going to put anyone who's still here in the waiting room, and I'm going to stop the streaming. And then when we come out of executive session, I will start the recording again and start the streaming, and hopefully it works.
Neil, before you go in executive session, that public hearing was July 30th at 7 p.m.
Yes, July 30th at 7 p.m. via video conference.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'm going to let me stop the. Let's see. So I've started the recording. I am going to admit everyone back in. And with that, we are being recorded again. I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session. It is 8:28, not too long after we went in, maybe 5 minutes. And I'd like to make a motion to hire Diane Lee as a part-time building department clerk at a rate of $15 an hour, which is what the union contract rate is, beginning July 27th, 2020.
I second, Alex.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This thing again. Okay. And all in a second?
We've already got that passed, Neil.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I got distracted when the YouTube thing pops up as we stream again. So that's it. I'd like to have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second, Julie.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. That went smooth. I think getting people in as co-hosts frees up something, so we'll do that from now on. So we're getting better. I'm getting better. Thank you for helping.
Okay. Thanks, Neil.
All right. Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.